Facebook and YouTube. My name is Jeff. I'm the first counselor of the St. Order Ministries. And today we're talking about Celestial Plural Marriage. This is Celestial Plural Marriage Part 6. And the last video left off on the Almighty will never permit me nor any other president who holds the keys of the kingdom of God to lead you astray. So Wilford Woodruff was a good guy. He was a good president. He had to sign the manifesto because the government pushed him into it. God did not want him to do it, but the people of the church, they all raised their hand and there was a vote made, and so polygamy was stopped. But that's when the keys left. So, what it's saying right here is who holds the keys of the kingdom of God to lead you astray. So, as long as the prophet's holding the keys of the priesthood, he will not lead you astray. So, if the keys were turned when the manifesto was signed by Wilford Woodruff, that is when it stopped. From then forth, this doesn't pertain to anybody anymore. Because after the manifesto was signed, that is when everything started going downhill from there. And they were led astray, and it did turn to the church of Satan. Okay, let's do what Brigham Young has to say on the subject. Brigham Young, further in the same speech, when people neglect their privileged duties, should their leaders lead them astray, they will go blindfolded, will be subject to the devil, and be led captive as his will. I'm going to read that again. When people neglect their private duties. So when people neglect their private duties, that means like by reading scriptures, living the celestial plural marriage law, going to the true church and make sure your family is doing everything right. When they neglect their duties, should their leaders lead them astray, they will go blindfolded. So when you neglect your duties, you're leaning on the arm of the flesh. The leaders that lead you astray, and you will willingly go blindfolded, and will be subject to the devil and be led captive at his will. This is what everybody in the Apostate Mormon Church is doing right now. They have neglected their duties and put their trust in the arm of the flesh, and have willingly blindfolded themselves to be subject to the devil, and to go to his church every Sunday, to participate in his church, to pay tithing to his church. That's what they're doing. They're all supporting Satan in his great counterfeit, and deceiving all the people. And that's why the church has not grown much right now, because it's only been 3 years since it was started, and Satan's very powerful. He's very persuasive. He's a very deceptive person. Okay, here's another one by Brigham Young. How often has it been taught that if you depend entirely upon the voice, judgment, and sagacity of those appointed to lead you, and neglect to enjoy the Spirit for yourselves, how easily you may be led into error? So he's saying when you trust in the arm of the flesh, you can easily be deceived because you're trusting everything that your leaders say. Even if it's lies or not true, you should still trust them. Put trust in them. Okay, this is Doctrine and Covenants, section 3, verse 9. If thou art not aware, thou wilt fall. You see 35:18. And if he abide in me, and if not, another will be planted in his stead. Doctrine and Covenants 35, verse 18. If he abide in me, and if he abide in me, and if not, another will be planted in his stead. So right here, it's talking about any false prophets that come among us in sheep's clothing, wherein they're ravening wolves, come up against God. God will take him out and plant another in his stead. This is what he had to do with Wilford Woodruff, because he signed the manifesto. That's a pretty tricky situation, because the government was all over him with that, and basically Satan made him sign that document. He didn't want to, but he made him. He had to do it, otherwise he would have been put in prison, or the law would have done something with him. But it says, another will I plant in his stead. So when the manifesto was signed, God took the authority and put it in the line of Joseph, because he knew that the line of Joseph, the family line of Joseph, would be a clean line, and would not be defiled, but would be pure and clean. And that's why he did that, because he knew it would be a good, solid line. This is Brigham Young, Journal of Discourses, Volume 2, page 125. You say you wish to do right and please the Lord in all your actions, but were I to adopt an evil practice, the greater portion of this community would follow it. So he's saying if Brigham Young adopted an evil practice, the greater portion of this community would follow him. So leaders of the Apostate Mormon Church today have chosen evil practices, and the majority of the members sustain and go and support and go to that church, and they follow him and in his ways, even if he's wrong, and if it's satanic things that they're participating in. Okay, the next one is Heber C. Kimball, Journal of Discourses, Volume 5, 203. You might as well deny Mormonism and turn away from it as to oppose the plurality of wives. Let the presidency of this church and the 12 apostles and all the authorities unite and say with one voice that they will oppose that doctrine, and the whole of them would be damned. What are you opposing it for? It is a principle that God has revealed for the salvation of the human family. He revealed it to Joseph the prophet in this our dispensation, and that which he revealed he designs to have carried out by his people. What did he just say? You might as well deny Mormonism and turn away from it as to oppose the plurality of wives. So Heber C. Kimball is saying that all people out there who call themselves Mormons that do not believe in polygamy, they're not Mormons. They're the apostates, they're anti, they're satanic people. They believe in Satan's law of marriage, which is monogamy. Let the presidency of the church and the 12 apostles and all the authority unite and say with one voice that they will oppose that doctrine, and the whole of them would be damned. That's what happened when the manifesto was signed. They all raised their hand to unanimously vote about polygamy being taken out, and that the manifesto should be signed. So that's the time that they were all damned. So that's why in 2012 Joseph Smith had to come and set everything in order, because it's so out of order, because of false leaders and false people changing